Welcome to the United Anglers podcast with me, your host, Matt Forshaw. Make sure you like and subscribe and follow so you don't miss any of the up and coming episodes. If you want to send us a voice note, hit us up on the email below. Follow us on all socials, and I hope you like the next episode. George, welcome to United Anglers podcast. How are we doing?
Good, mate. Very well. How are you?
How you fit? Yeah, good, mate. All good. What do you think of the place?
It's fantastic, mate.
It's pretty sick.
It's incredible. Ben's smashed it.
Yeah,
it looks great, mate.
Appreciate that, guys. Yeah, it's been a bit of hard work, but we're in a good spot with it, and it's really nice to have you in, George, to be on Matty's podcast. So yeah, take it away. Let's sort of see what's going on.
Yeah, so I want to break you in, loosen you up a little bit. We'll start with some quick fire questions straight away, just to get.
Be gentle.
Well, yeah, let the people know what sort of angler you are.
Noddy, but shit one. Yeah.
But yeah, just to ease you in, because obviously having these cameras and everything's a bit unusual. So
I'm nervous.
Break the nerves a little bit. Go on. So let's go. Nice, quick, sharp. This is if your life depends on it. Yeah, so you've got to choose. None of this and ahhing.
Right,
yeah.
all right.
Right.
Go on.
Right. Pop-ups or bottom baits?
Bottom baits.
Sharpened or non-sharpened?
Sharpened.
Camo or olive green?
Olive.
Ground sheet or bareback?
Bareback, baby.
Brolly or bivvy?
Brolly.
Leg clips or helicopters?
Lead clips.
Free on the spot or spread?
Yeah, free on a spot at the moment.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Where was I? Spom, catapult or throwing stick? Catapult, throwing stick or spom?
Mate, I love a throwing stick.
Yeah.
And a catapult. I'm going to go spom, though. I love them all.
All three?
Yeah, no, spomming.
Zigs or off the top?
Surface fishing, man, all day.
Yeah. Overnight or weekender?
When I can do weekends, man.
Weekends?
Yeah, be a
weekend.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Fair brass or hern?
Mate, what a ridiculous question.
It isn't.
The Godfather, Hurt, Terry.
Yeah. Okay. Some people
Jesus.
might go
Jesus,
the other way.
mate.
In the edge or distance?
In the edge.
Favourite fish, dead or alive?
Black Mirror. Easy peasy.
Yeah, a lot of people say that.
Yeah.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs. Silly question.
Dogs. I don't know, you've had a lot of cats.
Yeah.
As a family.
They've not been my friends. I've had a lot of dogs.
What's your favourite biscuit?
Soggy. Digestive.
Soggy biscuit.
Chocolate digestives. All day.
Okay, cool. Well, that
Thanks,
hopefully ease you in a little bit.
Yeah.
And
We've done
see everyone will
and
know
now everybody knows what a really good angler I am.
what sort of angler you are. Right. So tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do for a living. Obviously, we know each other from school, living around the Caterham's, Surrey sort of area. But yeah, tell us a little bit about your work and what you do day to day.
Very uninteresting. Grounds worker, so drive diggers, basically dig holes,
Yeah,
and build things.
that's nice.
Yeah, it's good fun. Work with all my best friends and my brother.
Yeah,
I
Jake.
sort of excluded him from the best friends group there, but he's my best friend as well.
What's it like working with your brother? Well, I should know, but obviously not all brothers get along.
No, we don't. You won't often see us on a job together because we both
is
have
that-
our ways of doing things.
that a
And
thing?
that's the only human you'll argue with to death about the best way to dig a trench or to lay a brick. Like, we couldn't care less, but it's probably because I ate the last bowl of Cocoa Pops in '96. Like, there's still issues there. So we're not on a lot of jobs together. We're so much better now. We're so
That's
much better. Like in the last few years,
Yeah.
we're fine. Like
I
best
can
mates.
understand that a little bit because obviously I work with my brother Joe, and I can work with Joe. We're so laid back, both of us, that we just like, yeah, whatever, don't care. If there's an argument to be had, we're just like, well, whatever.
Yeah, you two are
Whereas
chill.
I could not work with Peter, my other brother.
No, I
That
did
just
work with your brother.
That
Peter.
would not work at
No,
all. So I can understand it from both sides.
Yeah, no, mate.
That's cool. Obviously, you work with Jake Dodwell's.
Yeah. Also,
who's a good friend of us, and also
yeah,
he's
it's
a
like
fisherman.
fishing partner since
Yeah.
day one. So
both- yeah.
it's perfect on the Fridays. Like, I'm gonna get down the lake, mate. There's no questions asked.
Your boss understands.
Yeah,
the
he's
deal.
like, yeah, go. So that's lovely. That's always handy if I'm like, I'm not in Friday because I've been absolutely slaying a spot or something and it's on. And he's like, yeah, get out, go early.
Yeah.
Don't come in. Like, he
Understands it.
completely understands
Even
it.
though he doesn't
Like,
get to fish much himself.
no, he
at the
doesn't.
moment.
He's too hardcore.
Hopefully, yeah.
He's
He's a very driven person. We'll have to get him on. Well, I think we're actually gonna hopefully get him on at some point.
Yeah,
as we
100%,
do
mate.
like a little group one when we talk
Yeah.
about a certain lake, but we'll talk about that later. So Where did fishing start for you? What sort of age and who kind of got you into it, and where did it grow?
Yeah, so it was my dad, who I never really, before the day he went, we're going fishing, I never knew he'd been fishing.
Yeah.
So it was just like, yeah, I'll take you fishing. Joined a little club day, literally round the corner from where we are now, Godstone.
Yeah.
Bay Pond.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
Yeah,
well.
yeah. You used to have some mega carp in there.
Yeah, yeah. So we went down there, just a lot of Dad, I'm tangled, and like the usual, just catching skimmers, roach, bits and pieces.
So normal sort of introduction to fishing. Dad.
Real simple, just summer days like that lasted forever. You know, the real like lovely old school story. But you know, and then you lose. Inevitably hook a carp, lose a carp, and it's like, wait, there's bigger fish. Like
I was saying this
I
to Ben,
can
actually,
catch something bigger. And then that's it. Yeah, the pun of you're hooked for life. Like
it's like that difference between catching a fish this big and you're just getting a little shake on the end of the rod to, oh my god, this is nearly pulling me in. As a kid, you're just like, what is in this lake?
The classic.
Like, you don't know what carp are. You're just like, all of a sudden hooked into this big beast, and 9 times out of 10 they snap you up. This is what I was telling Ben. They snap you up, and you're like, what was that? You know what I mean?
Not a clue.
There's that drugs and that fire's lit like that.
My old man like, that's a carp. I'm like, what's that? So how do I catch one? And then from there at that same lake, he brought one of his like best friends, who's like I think godfather and stuff, and he turned up with carp rod alarms, like a boilie. I'm like, what on earth's going on here? Hair rigs and stuff. I think this is like 98, 99. And I was just like, what is going on? And it was from there that then, I was just like, okay, that's what I want to be doing. Seeing him then catch a carp. And I'm like, I'm in. And then I think I fished with my dad like once or twice more ever. I'm just like, no, you don't want to do what I want to do. Like I've discovered another side of this.
Yeah,
and I'm in.
Thinking about that, I find that funny how we and a lot of people go from fishing for like with their dads for roach and stuff, get hooked up to a carp, lose it, and then find out like, oh, that's what I want to fish for. I struggle to find out there's still those people that just don't go down that route and stick to the match angling or the eel fishing or the fishing for the skimmers and stuff.
Carp,
and match fishing.
like you don't find carp fishing finds you.
I think
that everybody, a lot of youngsters, like more than find carp fishing, they go fishing and catch the fish and blah blah blah. But it selects the right people. When you're like obsessed with the fact that you got snapped up by a bigger fish, that's it, and they're the guys that become carp anglers. Obsessed with it, instantly. Like
I think you just find your natural route.
Here we are, 20 odd years later, and it's still every weekend, every night. Like it's what you think about all day. Like it's an obsession that's just ridiculous.
It's a drug, isn't it? Really,
that's so hard to explain to so many people. Unless you get it.
Like, you either get it or you don't. 100%.
So I was going to just jump in there because it's quite interesting, really, because obviously you're both in the same school. And then I guess it was probably quite an uncool thing. Like football would have been like the cool thing to do, or rugby or something. Fishing's a bit more niche.
I did all the other sports like fairly well and stuff. But then it was like we were quite fortunate. There was a group of us. It was sort of like me and you. We had Recent Dave, Pete, Lee. Like we had a good group of us. Joe, of course, like a really good group of us. Like me and Joe had fished from day one in year 7. And to the point of like sort of when you're in your mid-teens where a lot of people lose fishing and it's girls and cars and like before you can do anything else and go to pubs, we all just went fishing every weekend. Like Friday nights at school when we were like 14, everybody rushing home, load mum's car, all get dropped down the same lake together. We'd like take over a couple of lakes on a day ticket and all fish together every weekend and all be half asleep on a Monday morning back in class together. But not with you because bottom set.
I was bottom set,
all be half asleep in class on a Monday morning because we've been up all weekend at a lake being idiots and just loving just loving being outdoors.
I remember it was like funny because you used to like beg our mums or dads to drop us off. Like my mum never drove, but my dad, and he would take it in turns like, mate, they did it last week. I have to ask your mum, and it was like that nervous question, like, Mum, can you drop us down the lake? Or Dad, can you drop us down the lake? And
can I have a tenner?
Yeah. jump in that car, go down to Beaver Farm or down to Vineyards.
we've
Obviously, Vineyards you can't fish anymore, sadly, which is gutting.
We'll see.
Well, we'll see. But yeah, take us back to some of the Vineyards days, because obviously that's where we all cut out.
Yeah, Vineyards was great. I mean, it sounds like silly. It's a little lake. What is it? An acre and a half.
Yeah.
Next to a dual carriageway.
Yeah.
On the
Junction
land
6.
of Junction 6, the M25, right there.
Right.
On the land of a vineyard.
Yeah.
Run by the grumpiest.
Well, not anymore. I don't know if it is anymore. I think it might have either changed hands or.
Yeah, I mean, she died. So her son's out now. Yeah, no, grumpy old woman that used to hate me because I would break rules and stuff. But yeah, that was it. Like, that was the place to go that we could all get to, because it was 10 minutes from everybody's house. I used to walk there from mine, where I lived, where my mum and dad lived.
Yeah, down the bypass.
And it was brilliant. And that was where we learnt like that whole like independence of just being on our own, just fishing, which is probably kind of weird for a bunch of 11 and 12-year-olds. But
it was like there was a big scene of
it
us
was such
there,
a scene,
and there was other kids,
like
from other
20
schools
of us. Yeah, you had like us from where we were, then lads from like the next town, the next secondary school, like couple
all
over.
Kind of
we all
friends.
knew each other. Yeah, like, and it was cool. And like some of the ridiculous stuff that happened there. It's like we were young, but it's like those same stories and themes have happened as we've got older on different syndicates and stuff as adults.
Yeah,
like just.
But back then, as
stupid
well,
shit.
thinking about it, I think the carp then were like, I think I caught a 12-pounder, or someone caught a double figure carp. And back then, that was
any
huge,
double,
wasn't it? It was like, oh my god, look at that, because it was so much bigger than the 5-6 pounders you were catching. Suddenly it was like a 12-pounder or 14-pounder, and everyone was talking about it. It was like the talk of the school, wasn't it?
You had this sacred scar in there.
Yeah,
I think only Joe I think he had it 10 times or something.
For people that don't know, that's the name of the fish.
Yeah.
It used to have a big scar on its back.
Okay.
And it used to be called the scar to us.
£20, £21 something, and it was like mythical.
I guess it's quite interesting as well, because like it's a lot different now with social media and mobile phones. Like back then, how do you know someone caught the fish unless you were there?
Yeah, you don't.
You wouldn't have had a photo, or maybe someone had a DSLR.
No, it was all disposable cameras.
Right, yeah, and it would have been some.
Do you remember? It was one of those. What do they call those cameras that it flips up and then you shake it?
Oh, Polaroid. Some people,
the Polaroid.
people usually Polaroids. Yeah, but it was all disposable cameras.
I've got Polaroid photos at home of Vineyards fish.
Yeah, doing a weekend, having a couple of fish, and then being like, while you were at school, I'd be like telling my mum, like, can you go to Boots and get these developed for me? And like waiting, like I need to take them to school.
On, Karen.
Like the girls are gonna love this. Yeah. I caught a 14-pound ghostie at the weekend. Hurry up! Yeah, ridiculous. But yeah, early days were great. Vineyards was just phenomenal. Like great for us as well, because we all got to fish together and do so much ridiculous stuff down there. We still call it the Vineyards Run if you're off your rods.
Yeah,
because that lake was
hilarious.
a lake. This lake was an acre and a half, and you were, you could see every part of the lake completely open. There were no trees on the edge. It was really open, so from any swim you could see any point.
It was a circle, quite a normal circle.
So you just be off your rods. There's no snags, no nothing. Be off your rods. Couple of 100 meters away, and you hear an alarm. Nobody else moves. You know it's you, and you've got to do the Vineyards Run.
Oh yeah, and everyone's like, "Is that me? Is that
You've
you?"
never run so fast in your life,
and you're like, "No one else is running, so it must be me." And you end up running round.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, good old times.
So yeah, I still like the Vineyards Run. Just get off my rods every now and then.
Yeah, obviously we don't want to tell everyone to be off their rods and stuff, but the things you do as kids, growing up. That's where you learn yourself, build your character. Yeah. So from there, obviously we fished Beaver Farm quite a lot, and that's where we actually started night fishing a lot, didn't we? As kids, growing into fishing.
Yeah, that was good.
But still young, quite a young age. I think 16 probably.
No,
15,
way before. Yeah,
was it?
I remember my first night. I think back to it like. I'm not a parent, but I question my parents' decisions. I was 12, and they dropped me off, and I was fishing on my own.
Yeah.
And I remember I slept with a knife in each hand, one of them being like a butter knife, that I'd taken to eat my dinner with. one in each hand because I was just petrified in this tiny little like one-man blue tent.
Yeah.
I don't even think I put rods out because I was too scared to get out of my tent in the night if I caught one.
Yeah.
And down at Beaver, obviously, like you fish on those back lakes, you're in the middle of the woods.
Remember
and then
like, because it was loads of lakes, wasn't it? They've got
Yeah.
like 9-10 lakes there, haven't they, to picture it for everyone else.
Yeah.
But in amongst all that, in the woods and stuff, there was like swamps, weren't there?
Yeah.
Wow.
Remember the swamps, the sounds you used to get from the deer?
it was the wild boar I
Wild
saw
boar
once. It's
was
a
up
lot of
there
like
at
really
some point.
swampy and it's really I don't know, it's like
Something like that.
ironstone. So all the water's like bright orange and stuff. And I one day walking just saw this wild boar. It was enormous, but it was like up to its chest in this water. It was like bright orange
Remember the
mud
story?
all over it. And I was just like I'm not sure I'm going to do this anymore. Like, I'm going to fish the other lakes by the road.
Yeah, I remember the stories. Like, it got
terrifying.
around our school quite quick, and everyone was like, George or whoever, George and Peter have seen like a wild boar in the swamps, we used to call it, didn't we, down at Beaver Farm. And then you'll be sleeping, and everyone would be laughing it off and that. But when you actually went to bed on your own, it was actually time to sleep. You're like, oh shit, this is pretty. And you hear things, and obviously like deer and stuff are moving around, and foxes. And one time at Beaver Farm, you just made me remember is, I don't know if you were there. I think it was me, Dave, and Reese, and we're fishing on Majors, one of the back lakes. And this bailiff is long gone now, and you'll remember who I mean. He was a bit of a character, but it was like probably midnight. We a bit of like an all nighter. We were in our tent. We were having a laugh as kids do, and all of a sudden our tent door just gets ripped up.
Mate, I remember
Yeah.
this. I know
Do you
where
remember?
you're going. Yeah.
Just ripped up, and all I see is this fat head torch shining in our eyes, and we're like, oh my god, what the hell? And all I could see is a double barrel shotgun pointed at all of us. And it sounds really bad. Obviously, it wasn't cocked. When as a grown man now, I know that it wasn't loaded. It was cocked over his arm. It was safe. But all I saw was a head torch and a double barrel shotgun. The head bailiff there. And he was like, boys, who's got a pistol or something, wasn't it? Because
someone had an air pistol that you were obviously prime suspect.
Yeah, because we were making a bit of noise and there was 3 kids in the living.
Yeah.
He came straight to us.
Yeah,
and,
probably.
Do you know what's really great is he's not long gone. I spoke to him like a couple of weeks ago. found him on the internet. I won't mention his name. He was honestly, he made my fishing down there as well. Right, he was an absolute saint because midweeks were half price for juniors.
Right.
And so like half terms, I would convince my mum to give me like 30 quid. I think it was like £7 for 24 hours if it was midweek.
Wow.
For a junior, because it should have been like 14 quid a night.
I can't even remember.
And he used to come, I'd go down there on a half term, on like a Monday, Sunday or a Monday, so that it was half price. And he'd come round on day one, and he'd take 7 quid off me. And then he'd come round the next day, George, how you getting on? And I'll be like, I need to pay my ticket. Don't worry about that.
Oh, bless you.
Next day, don't worry about that. Next day, don't worry about that. And he'd be like, you got the money, go up the cafe and get a breakfast and stuff. And he charged me like, the most he ever took off me, I think, was like 2 nights worth. And I would do the weeks in half terms, always.
Yeah.
Because it's all I wanted. I was full obsessed at like 14, 14. And it just, he made it that I could just fish as much as I wanted. For like,
and he loved it, didn't he?
And I also then didn't have to tell my mum that I hadn't spent all that money and I could go up the tackle shop and
think back then,
stock up again.
I think back then, looking back, I think he probably encouraged it, didn't he?
He knew what he was doing.
Sometimes he was a bit like, boys, you can't do that, you can't do this. And he guided us, but I feel like he wanted us to be there because there wasn't that many kids in fishing.
And he knew what else we'd be doing.
And he knew exactly what else we'd be doing. So he obviously thought, as an adult, looking back now, he probably thought, this is a good thing, let's encourage it. So,
Yeah, I literally messaged him the other day and explained exactly what I just said to you. And he was like, I think I remember you. And I was like...
I was thinking about other people we can get on and stuff. And Beaver Farm, the bailiffs there now, obviously we both know as well. And they're sweet as. And I'd like to get them on just to...
It'd be nice to see their side of how a day ticket runs. And it's a super busy one.
And it's a mixture. It's not just a carp.
real
match,
mixture.
catfish.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting. That's a good idea.
We could potentially get them on. That'd be cool. So, other times when we were younger, one that came to mind was like back in Dorset, was it? We went, you took me as like a little holiday.
Yeah. My grandparents lived in Wool in Dorset. It's not far from like Poole and Wareham.
Yeah.
So we went down. My parents dropped us down. We used to do our half terms down there as well.
Yeah.
Just sometimes at the worst times of year, like February or
really,
a
really
week
hot.
in the summer holidays. And mate, those were some of the best times. Like just my grandparents being old and not really caring.
Yeah, but it was
and
freedom, wasn't it?
just we're in the middle of the fields in Dorset of just going. There's a river there.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to fish it? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna try and find out. So we'd go over
I just
and
didn't think. I don't think.
No.
you're just so
because it was
young.
in the middle of a field, like it
Middle
was
of
just a
nowhere.
nothingness. Like there was about 12 80-year-olds that lived
Everything's
within
such a-
6 miles.
Yeah,
Like,
everything's so slow down there, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, it
So
was-
it's like
that
you
was
just feel
mega.
like it's like, oh, this is going to be all right. If it
Yeah.
not all right, someone's just going to.
someone's going to go, oh, you can't be here, lads.
yeah.
Yeah,
But stay the rest of the day anyway.
yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
exactly. And we had great times. Like, do you remember the eels?
Eels underneath the bridge.
Yeah,
Oh, mate.
we made. Oh, I
It
can
was like
tell.
full of water, wasn't it? And then
Yeah.
just-
Tell Ben about it. Like my granddad was a real like tinkerer, so he had one of those. We're also just like building rubbish.
yeah, yeah.
So he had one of those garages that we loved because there was every tool in the world, every bit of wood and crap. We
Yeah.
made ourselves like little whips, really, like so bamboo sticks.
Bamboo.
Out my nan's sewing kit, a bit of elastic,
Yeah.
and then tie some fishing line and a hook on the end. And we were just like, why take fishing rods when we can do this? Like, we've got all the
We
gear.
had fishing rods, but we were like, that's boring.
This will be funny.
Yeah, yeah.
And just went like dropping maggots under this bridge and catching like I've never caught a bigger eel to this
No,
day.
they were huge.
Like these
Wow.
massive
They
eels.
were like, well, eel don't get that.
Yeah.
They're just for
They-
fish. They're just long and
Yeah,
thin. But
yeah.
these things were thick, long.
Like
slimy
I've
old
never
things.
caught a bigger eel than
No,
those
they were
ones,
pretty-
and
and
I
to
don't
watch 'em
think
in-
it's my memory of being
Yeah.
a child. I really think they were massive. Like,
Just to watch them in that clear water,
Mate,
it's like I
it's
say,
creepy.
under the bridge, about a foot of water, and
Yeah.
they're just like that, and then they go for the. You could see them take the hook bait as well, which is so
it was so weird.
exhilarating as.
And the grayling as well.
The grayling, mate.
Grading when we went back next day, we'd after the eels it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We'd seen fish. And we were like, what are they? Like, what's going on? Thought it were trout and bits and pieces,
Yeah.
didn't we?
Didn't
And
know
then
really what they were.
we're like, what's that? So we're like, next day floating a bit of bread, trying to run some maggots down, nothing interested, and then
Not even looking at it, were they?
no, and this is still hunter instinct. This
Yeah.
is it. Like we know we
So
can catch something, so we're running through the long grass in this field.
It was boiling hot, wasn't it? And we
Catching grasshoppers, stick them on the hook, first cast straight away. This
Wow.
floating grasshopper, straight up, smashes
I
it.
remember the turning point was we were obviously in. We're wading, but we're not in waders or nothing. We were in literally shorts and
Yeah, we
t-shirts,
just stood in there.
rolled up as kids. Shoes are off on the bank, socks are off on the bank, and we're onto this like it was like a sandbar. wasn't
Yeah,
in
it
the
was,
middle of
yeah,
the
yeah.
river. We're standing there just trying to fish away for hours, getting sunburnt, everything, and then literally I think I can't remember who it was, but one of us saw, didn't we?
Yeah, saw it
And we're
take.
we're trying to catch these fish that we can see. They're not taking anything, and a fish that won't take maggots or worms is like, you know, you're in trouble then.
Yeah.
But this grasshopper jumps off, just randomly comes off the bank, went into the water, floated downstream a little bit, and they just these fish we've been watching just came up, and went boom, just took
Yeah.
it, didn't it? And
So
it was
we're
like
like,
it was like a light bulb moment.
get out the river,
Yeah,
Get some
catch some grasshoppers.
and we went and
And
got
it was
some grasshoppers.
instant, like first cast, yeah. And that was where I think both of us just knew, like we're like, we could catch a fish anywhere. Like if we want to catch one, we'll work it out.
Yeah,
Like you show
but
me
it's
a
just-
puddle, and I will be like, I want to catch it.
Yeah,
There
it's
must
just
be a
good
fish in there.
memories,
Like,
man, of like kids just being kids,
Yeah, yeah.
working it out, doing your thing.
yeah,
You're allowed out from this time till sunset.
Yeah.
You know, and you're
Go.
just so free. This is brilliant, mate.
just miss it. Take me back.
Yeah, it takes us back. You just don't see
Yeah.
much of the kids nowadays doing that sort of thing.
No, I
as well.
feel it's like that missed generation. I feel like your kids, they'll be taught to do that stuff. like
100%
outdoors.
mate.
Like
100%.
yeah.
I'll be if I can. I'm not going to force anything, but
No, but
they're
just
all-
whatever
like,
they want
yeah,
to do.
My
just-
boy's already shown
be
like, he
outdoors.
just loves being outside.
Yeah.
We just go for walks in the woods sometimes, and he's happy. And I'm like, it's so like makes me
it's
so
class.
proud as a dad to look at a kid doing the things I used to love
yeah,
and stuff.
Mega, mate.
So yeah, that's all good.
Do you think that's like changed a lot with like regards to like kids nowadays and
don't know.
social media and stuff? Like, is it like, do you see kids when you're out and about? Like, obviously, if you go to France or you're fishing,
Okay,
do you
like-
see kids who are 14, 15 like fishing, or is the scene quiet?
Like you definitely do, and online you do.
okay,
But I don't know. Like it's really hard to talk on because I don't have kids.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I don't have like any sort of idea of what they're actually doing. Like, but yeah, I mean, online I see youngsters and stuff, and it's great, but they are few and far between.
Very much
Wow.
so, yeah.
But I don't know if that's just because of me and the algorithm. Like, essentially,
Yeah.
like
There is that.
I follow, I love seeing photos of fish on my timeline. Like, so it's half the stuff I follow, just a lot of carp. And
They do the carp academies and stuff for the youngsters.
yeah, I'm
don't
sure
they?
it's still all going on, and I'm
Yeah.
detached from it. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sure
yeah. I think
nothing's changed too much.
And there's a lot of like, obviously, your local club waters all around the country.
Yeah.
They do like yearly things where they'll get the kids involved.
Yeah,
and
I know.
teach
There's a
them.
lot
Bit
of
like
that's
good.
BMXing,
That's
bit like
what I
skatering.
thought. I wonder if it goes
Yeah.
up and down like a wave, and
Possibly,
you'll get
yeah.
2010s, you got a massive loads of kids into it, and then you might get, to 2020s.
and then when they
it
have
dips.
kids,
Yeah, because what was
so
that?
yeah, like maybe. I don't
So
know.
our era of growing, like going back to the Vineyards days, I
Yeah.
suppose that's what you're saying. Is like there's a bunch
Sounds
of
like there's a
kids.
buzz.
Mate, it was
There was
so
a big
many,
buzz.
yeah.
It was like no one was on
Yeah.
skateboards or BMX, and it was like fishing for where I was
Yeah.
sitting anyway. And then as we got older, it's obviously like just go like wave.
Yeah, who knows? I'm sure it's still going on.
Yeah.
Hope so.
So going into your fishing more update, like what you're doing sort of now. Where are we now? Or where have we been in the last?
Yeah, loss. I mean, coming up to
years.
date from all the young stuff, we just dotted around, jumped on. I mean, Cemex was a wonderful thing with that ticket. Like, so we had a few waters there. I spent a fair bit of time at like Paper Court.
Yeah, cool.
Loved it. Ran away. Like, that was where I learned that I didn't. You know, what you're like as a teenager, you know everything. And
Yeah.
I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
And I very, very quickly worked it out on there.
Yeah.
Like, worked out, not it out. I definitely didn't work it out on there, but I worked out what I was, how I wanted to fish and everything like that.
Yeah.
It was a great water for it at the time, and I knew I was getting it right because I could turn up, I'd get in the car park, get the binoculars out, and have a look. I knew, all right, I'm going to get down there, and literally week in, week out, I get down there. Lewis Reed would be giggling because we'd had the conversation week in, week out that he was in this every time he's in a swim I wanted to be in. Obviously, just from the car park, you couldn't see him in binoculars because it's just a bed chair tucked in the bushes. And I'm like, yes, it's empty. So I barrow a mile round there,
Big old
and he'd just be there like that every time. But that was how I was like, well, if he's in there at that age, well, I think I was like 17. Like, well, if he's in there, I must be on the right sort of track. That at least I'm thinking right.
Yeah.
Backed myself a bit and had a couple out of there, and then lost 7 on the bounce.
Yeah,
and
it's a savage old pit.
Just
though.
dropped the ticket with my tail between my legs because I got the Glebe ticket.
Yeah,
That was when it was. And
Glebe. Every time someone says that word,
It's-
honestly, my heart just breaks.
I know.
It's just a little bit of me just goes, oh.
I feel like obviously people have had lakes that are super special and stuff, but this was our one, and it was incredible. We had
I don't believe
10
there's a lake
acres,
out there like it.
70-foot deep at one bit, just everything you could wish for in a lake.
How many members?
Well, how
20.
many were there meant to be? 20 maybe. It was probably 25 to 30.
Yeah.
And
everyone
when I
knew
first
each
got
other,
on
didn't
there was 20 members and 10 people fished it. That was it. Like, and it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, so special. The fish were literally unbelievable. You'd pay thousands for that ticket now.
No,
like
yeah,
for
you
that
would.
for that stock.
Well, you just wouldn't get on there, it'd be dead man.
Yeah,
cheese.
it just wouldn't exist, and it was just phenomenal. And we had some great years on there.
But we're going to talk about that another time, aren't we?
Yeah, we'll save it. We'll save it
We're
and do
going
it.
to get you back on, and we'll get Jake and Peter.
Get Pete in, yeah.
We'll
Just
do-
get the
we'll
boys
do
that
like
we
a
spent
Glee-
a lot of time together with down
There's
there.
a lot of stories to be told about the Glebe, so we'll do like a
Yeah, it was special.
Glebe special, I think.
Yeah,
What it
absolutely.
deserves, and we
Absolutely.
can laugh about all the times on there, and
Yeah,
yeah,
and maybe cry.
and maybe cry a little bit. Yeah,
So yeah, after the Glebe, because that. So yeah, we should say the Glebe got sold to a quarrying company, and I think their part of their deal was they had to give it back to like the National Trust or something. So it's just gone. The fish were not looked after properly, moved
somehow.
here and there, and not where they should have gone. So they're somewhere, a few of them that survived. And then because of that, I really fell out of love with fishing.
Yeah,
Like
You
really,
and Jake, didn't you?
yeah, really lost it. I was just like, I nowhere ticks those boxes. I was never going to find that high again of chasing that. So dotted around, did a few day tickets and bits and pieces for a few years. Then I don't even know what I did, honestly, for those lost years.
Because I stayed in it.
I
somehow.
still fished, but
I got my foot in the door with the Medway Valley Waters. I think I went on Alders, which is now called Big Lake.
Big Lake, yeah.
I got on there, which is like my nemesis of lakes. We won't talk about that. But yeah, anyway, I got on there.
How many you had?
Over the years.
How many years?
Yeah, that is. I don't want to talk about it anyway.
All right.
It's a sore story, that one. But yeah, that like kind of like that just got carried my buzz on a little bit. As much as it was.
Yeah, that's got a nice stock though.
It's hard to move on from
It's quite
there,
nice fishing.
Glee, but I went down that route, and I know that Jake and yourself, Peter Humphreys, like you all kind of dropped off a bit.
Couldn't really find anywhere.
Yeah, a bit of day ticket here, a bit of social.
That was it. Just doing as much fishing as I could be bothered to do, basically. Then I think I ended up then at Mercers.
Yeah, when Mercers back open.
Yeah. Like because you went back on. You and Jake went back on for a bit. For what, a season or two.
Yeah.
And then I think I came on. And you had a good whack of them, yeah.
As you do. Light work.
I had 80.
And the biggest weights as well. Yeah.
I had 80 fish in a season.
Oh yeah, that was so funny.
Yeah, and
how many mirrors?
It might well have been. I had one fish all season. I had 80 commons.
80, and this lake is, for anyone who knows, is famous for its cricket back commons, as we call. So they're like the torpedo, stunted little commons that don't get big. They've been in there for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Well, not hundreds, but
I'm pretty sure there's only 4 of them in there, and they're just really hungry. I caught the same one
like six,
over and
6
over
or 7
again.
a night or something.
Yeah, I was having like serious. I was getting it right. Like I was having huge hits,
Bad
like
luck.
doing really well. And then it was COVID actually, wasn't it? That was when I first went on there. And so I sort of had it to yourself and that. So fishing off the pontoons, doing this. I knew a load of guys that had poached it through the close times and stuff.
Guested it.
Like knew what had gone on down there. And it was like, well, it is what it is. I'm just going to go and do whatever. Lost the big one off the pontoon. Because I knew I had the big one on. So I put my head torch on.
Gin clear, innit?
Yeah, and then looked at it. I was like, oh yeah, that's a big 40-pound mirror, like, and then just let it get around a rope on the pontoon because knees went. I was like, oh yeah, this is happening, and I was in a bad way.
They do fight hard in there as well.
Yeah.
And like, to put it into perspective, like for anyone that doesn't know, you're on the jetty, and obviously these jetties, floating pontoons, need to be weighed down by ropes and anchors and stuff. And this is a really good end of the lake to fish, wasn't it? And obviously you're almost done with the battle. These strong old fish have that last little go, didn't they?
She just went straight under me and went round the rope.
Yeah.
So I'm there like, trying to get it back with the rod, then give up. So rod's on the floor.
Yeah.
I'm laying down, like I've got like my chest almost in the water, taking breaths, like
Get it
following the line, get it up. And I can feel it still nodding away, like rocking, but I know it's round the rope. I don't know how many times.
And it's the biggest fish in the lake.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the last time it had been out, I think it was 46, 47. Like, and I'm like, well, I'm just going to go in. I'm just going to dive down. This is the middle of the night. It's like pitch black. I'm just going to dive down, find the rope, find the fish and push it back round the rope. And then thought better of it. And I could feel it sliding up the rope. And I was like, oh, it's getting closer. Maybe I'll just be able to net it. So head torch back on. I'm looking, can sort of see a bit of colour. And then that colour just left. Yeah. And I was like, it's gone.
Big old grey,
yeah, super. That was the worst thing, where it's like almost white at night, where you put a torch on it. It's like white. It's so grey.
So even though it's really dark and the water's like drinking water, isn't it?
Mate, it's so
with a head
clear.
torch on, you could, like, over those pontoons, when you look in the water, you could see like probably 7-8 foot down into the water.
Wow. Mate, at the right
so
time.
when the fish is like just under 2 foot under the surface, you can see it getting snagged up.
Mate,
so
you can see it miles and miles down. It was ridiculous.
It's
horrible.
Yeah.
And then, basically I sort of like, lost that one, really burnt from that, and was just like, I'll just slog away in the usual swims. And basically, because of the way it was like a booking system, wasn't it? You had to like send a message,
pain,
and book a swim, and I never knew that far in advance when I could actually fish. It'd be a Thursday night, and I go, I can fish tomorrow night now. Like something could come up, like whatever, and every swim's already booked. Like, so it was a nightmare for me, really. Like the logistics of fishing.
Limited swims on there, weren't there?
I think there were 6 swims. How big is
it? Limited swims because they're trying to get the lake back up.
Yeah,
and
they
running,
were. Yeah,
and it's a flooded old snaggy pit.
Yeah.
So it is a big task. It's just not an ideal way of fishing, is it?
No, it was hard for me.
It's like the hunt and the angling side of things.
It was really
pulled away from
it was
you
taken away
you
because you've got to be in that swim.
Like, I want to book that swim 2 days. You have to book it 2 days before.
Yeah, I had no time. You could book up to 2 weeks in advance, so people would every Friday morning.
Whereas
you get an influx of texts for 2 weeks' time for that Friday to book the weekend. So that was tough. That was really tough. And then from Mercers. What did I do after Mercers? Can you remember? Because I can't. I feel like I had a lull.
We had a few socials like Elfix and stuff, little winter socials.
Yeah, we did
a bit
some
of fun here and there.
I think I spent almost a year doing that, flitting about, waiting for tickets. Yeah, just
dropping on Farlows and Fawny and
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah, did it. Yeah, I did a fair bit actually. Yeah, I did a
Lakes
few. I say a fair bit. I didn't. I fished it just the odd winter social. I did Thorny and stuff. Had a couple out there, really nice ones.
So what I really want to talk to you about
Go
now.
on.
Bit more update is that Larky Common.
Oh yeah, so that's where I then ended up after that. I think that's my next ticket. And the SWS after they took it on.
Yeah,
that was really good. They've done like an incredible job over there.
Yeah,
It's just really comfortable fishing. I don't know what it was like before, but it's really nice.
So obviously Medway Valley Waters had it before.
Yeah,
and those lakes, I think. They were just kind of left to their own devices in a way.
Yeah, a little bit. I think Medway don't let you do work parties and things, do they?
Well, I think they do on certain lakes, but I feel like they actually wanted them to be like left. There's so much history on those Larky waters.
Well, it was Johnson's Railway, wasn't it? It's like super.
Anyone who knows,
we read about it.
Know.
Yeah, we read about it for a million years.
Yeah,
Kent was always the waters we read about. It was phenomenal. Seeing that ticket come up, I think I got pretty lucky. I didn't even realise. A mate Joe messaged me.
Yeah.
He'd seen something on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I think where they said to all the existing members, like, "Oh, we're changing hands. You can keep your ticket, this, that, and the other."
It happened really quick, didn't it?
Yeah, and anybody that doesn't pay before this date, we're going to release those tickets for other people. Open it up. And he saw something online, messaged me, and I was like, I need a ticket, and this one just starts straight away. So I grabbed it, not really knowing that much about the other waters. I knew a bit about the railway.
Yeah.
And got over there. I'm a very self-to-myself person on the bank, so it was hard just to, I'm not a... Tell me everything about this place. Without just being like, there's a few lads over there that were great. Lad Josh, he was brilliant. I met him quite early on. And I told him straight up, he was like, I'm going to have to punish you a little bit, mate. I've got to know something. He told me he's fishing on Larky too. Told me a few of the fish, showed me a couple of photos and that. And I was like, yeah, these are mega.
Yeah, not many in there, were there?
No, they weren't at the time.
They just started to stock it with stockists.
Yeah, so my first winter, they stocked the railway.
Yeah.
With, I think, 80 or something, little ones. They weren't that small. They're VS fish, so relatively pretty, and they've done really well in there. And some of them, you're like, I see photos, I'm like, I know that's not an original, but the colours on it, it's fantastic because of the water quality and everything. They're brilliant.
Take to their environment quickly.
Yeah, massively. So they've gone quite well. And then they put, so I fished literally, I'm so busy that year, I fished a couple of really early winter sessions, got one in at the end of the spring, one in at the end of the summer, one in the autumn. I literally fished it six times, maybe seven times.
Classic George.
Just rubbish, yeah, mate. Just busy, making excuses basically to go on socials instead of do actual fishing.
It's so easy though, isn't it? In those cold months to go, someone goes, "You're on a really hard water," and then someone calls you up and goes, "Do you fancy a social down at the Farlows or down at Fawny Weir
just somewhere
or
stupid,
Fort Lee?" And you're like, "Oh, that sounds easy.
Yeah,
let's do that."
There's their beer. That was it. Go and mess around. So I did a lot of that, and then ended up the year after, so second year of the ticket, which I class as really my first year.
Yeah.
they stocked it, and I was like, well, at least it's going to shake things up.
So why did they stock all those waters?
Because they'd never been stocked.
Yeah.
They were down to like a handful of fish, like,
Yeah,
and they want to make a successful fishery.
Yeah.
That lasts, like, you've got to do it. You've got to stock fisheries.
So they turned it round to like, because I
Yeah.
think some of the lakes only had like 16 fish in it.
Yeah, well, I haven't got a
something
clue
stupid.
on the numbers. Truly,
It was-
I
well,
really, I don't ask questions properly, but there might be. They
So
might
I was
have
on a
been that
lake over
low.
the road, which is that Alders big
Yeah,
lake, and speaking to the lads there, they used to, obviously they're local boys, so they were like bouncing around all of those lakes, and they told me that some of those lakes only had like 14 to 16 fish in
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah, it was
obviously
mad.
when they owned it, they must have had to make that jump to stock it.
They knew they had to, and
Had
it's
to.
like it's probably going to upset some people, but
Because I think
you've
Medway
got to
wanted
do
to
it,
keep
otherwise
it.
that lake is on its arse.
Yeah, I think Medway wanted to keep it old school, keep it
Yeah,
real.
which is fine in their timeline basically,
Yeah.
but this was like it's now or never.
It's you need to make a bit of a change.
Yeah, so once those stockies went in, I was like, well, it's going to shake things up. I'm ready to. I had probably new relationship and stuff. I haven't got my times quite right, I'm
Yeah.
sure, but so I knew I had time, and I was like, I'm going to put the effort in, and then like I think it was late February. Just was like, right, I'm going down there early doors. I'm going to have a real walk around, like really like take a marker with me. And Dan came down with me actually.
Dan the man.
Yeah, little Dan. I call it
Maintenance.
maintenance.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Maintenance.
To-
Yeah.
yeah.
See?
Oh, did you know that? Yeah.
didn't know
so
that.
Dan's,
For people that
Okay.
don't know,
Dan's
there's a
Padawan.
boy called Dan that we used to ride BMX and
Yeah.
stuff, be around Skatron. And he used to help out Skatron quite a lot, which is why we called him maintenance. 'cause
You call
we
him
do a lot of
maintenance,
around
yeah.
the lake. But yeah, anyway.
yeah. So maintenance was
Yeah,
with
yeah.
me. And walking around, I was like, I'm just going to take a leading rod down. I had all my gear in my car because I use my car as a shed most of the time anyway. And walking around, it's like 7 o'clock, it's frosty, chilly. I just see something stick his head out. I'm like, oh, all right. This is when Dan had just got his Big Lake ticket. That's why he come down with me, because he said, I'll come round with you, and then I'm going to go and have a walk around Big Lake. All right, fine, because it's, half a mile up the road, isn't it? Like, it's easy, walk through the park.
Walk there.
Seen one stick his head out. I was like, fuck, I'm going to chuck a rod out. Like, so I've gone back, chods, classic, tooties,
Fair play.
whopped it out, like, right where I'd seen it.
A bright tootie, yeah.
Oh, mate, yeah, oranges, always.
Fair play.
Chods, bright orange.
Fair play.
Killer. And yeah, had one in like an hour. I was
Was
like,
that original or stock?
no, I just wanted stockies.
Stockies.
I was like, all right, sweet. Phoned Dan up. Like, oh, I've had one. In fact, no, that's a lie. I lost one straight away. this guy losing fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, lost one. Phoned Dan. I was like, mate, you're not going to believe this. I've just lost one. He's like, no way. Like half an hour later or something, I put 2 out there, and I've had one. Got it in there. Yeah, it's a shiny new penny stocky. Sweet. I had 7 that day. Like, I was like,
Well,
all right,
it's a known
cool.
thing that when you're on these stockies,
Yeah.
like what stockies
They were
are like
just-
the babies of the fish that get put in at a young age. They tend to go into these big pits and huddle together
Yeah.
because it's like nature. They're like
Oh, okay.
so when you're on one,
You
you
can
want a
catch
few
a
of them.
few, yeah.
So
I think they've been in the lake 2 months. I was just like, sod it, club them.
never been caught. It's never been caught. That's
Yeah.
why George caught them.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, mate. And then,
Never seen
so
a
from
hook.
there, though, I was like, well, if I catch the stockies, the originals have got to feed
Yeah.
eventually in the same place as them.
Yeah.
That was my thoughts.
Well,
But that swim I'd gone in ended up being a swim I repeatedly went back to and ended up religiously fishing. I dotted, like that spring, I put a bit of effort in, followed them round, chased them about, weed got up, they were tough, the reeds grew up, started eating into a swim I was trying to fish. This, that and the other, I wasn't really getting on them. I had a few more stockies from around the lake and they were already packing on weight. I was having them at like 18, 19 pound
right.
from, they'd gone in smaller than that. I don't know how big.
Yeah. So I think there was like C2s to
Yeah,
C4s
something
or
like that. They'd gone in, and so I'd had a few. So I was keeping a bend in the rod, so it wasn't too demoralising. And then I'd gone back up the other end, just like chasing them about where I could see them. Had a few more from this other swim, and then I'm like, I'm going to go back around because I keep seeing fish show where I'd had them 7 stockies from in the winter. Because for some reason in my head I'd gone, well, that's just where the stockie's going to be. Found this spot where I think in that swim you've got like the ends of bars and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not one for like really clean gravel. I'm a silt person if I can.
Yeah.
And so you come off the end of this bar. I'll be the first to admit I'm rubbish with a marker rod, like with
Really?
a leading rod. Like I am terrible.
Honest?
Well, I don't know. I do work it out, but I feel like when I hear people talk about it, they really know what's out there, and I'm like,
fine tune.
Yeah, are you blagging it? Are we? I can tell you what's out there, but
yeah, I felt some of these spots that people were like, oh, there's this on that spot,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
I always second guess myself because of that. I'm like,
I think, yeah,
I know what I'm fishing over, and I know how effectively I'm presented. Like, but I'm like, you guys talk about it as if you've swum out there and looked at it. Like,
I will check spots. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not one to thrash it to a phone to be like,
no.
Oh, I want to feel every single twig and things. So if I can feel like my rig's going to present on it, then let's go. Let's fish.
That's game, yeah. So I just knew if I'm slightly this line on it was mate, so easy. I'm not fishing there anymore. I can tell you, it's a huge gap in these trees. Huge gap in the trees, like ridiculous. Like it's the most obvious thing in the world.
Yeah.
You cast down the right hand, like tall tree there, tall tree there.
Classic.
Cast down the right hand side.
Yeah.
It's like boulders, gravel, like bang, bang, bang. Right. You come maybe like a couple of to your eye. You're like a couple of meters left of that. Oh, it's a little taps, and then off of that for probably 6-7 meters.
Yeah,
you just got glass, silt. Like it's just incredible. It's just I don't know how. It's definitely not soft. It's just lush. Like when I did then put the marker out and just check the depths, like that rocky is literally it's only a foot. It's like a slope. These bars are massive. Monster bars, and it just drops off from nothing, like a foot of rock, sort of, and it just comes down into this silt, and then you've got a wee bed.
Yeah,
like you couldn't invent a better spot, like just a load of lush silt off the side of this weed bed.
In your head, just like picturing it all.
I'm like, cushy. So I just started filling it in. Like I love fishing over bait, and they have changed the rules now, but back then you could still use particle. So and I love particle.
Yeah. So for people that don't know, particle's like a bird conditioner, like seeds and bits and bobs, whereas a boilie is like you're made.
Yeah.
So I am fishing pigeon conditioner just cheap as chips. Just do it myself at home.
Yeah,
I can make buckets and buckets of it for
it's cheap, isn't it?
40 quid, and I've got too much bait. Like it's ridiculous. So I'm just piling that in like Tuesdays, Tuesday or Wednesday. Down on the Friday, and when I get down on the Friday, I'm putting more than half a bucket out. Like I'm putting 3 or 4 kilo out. I'm having bites. So I'm getting there at 4 or 5 p.m. I'm having bites by 9 p.m. Like every weekend, like on the trot.
Consistent.
Stockies, but it's fine. Like I'm like, they will come. I'm telling myself.
Yeah, you just got to keep going with it.
So, and that'd be on the Friday night, I'd have one. Saturday morning, I'd have one. Saturday night, I'd have one. Sunday morning, I'd have one. So it was really consistent. It was one bite, and it was the rod closest to the weed doing the bites. Or often it was left and middle.
So you had 3.
The weed, I was putting 3 on the spot.
3 on the spot.
Like, and knowing that right hand rod, my right hand rod that was closest to the gravel.
Yeah.
Not that confident in, but it was fine. I did have 1 on it over the whole time, so I ended up I just kept fishing 2 rods on it. So it was brilliant. Summer comes and I'm a bit like, the weed's really up, so I'm really like this left-hand rod right up against this wall of weed.
It's your banker, as we call it.
Honestly, it was a full-on banker rod, and it was I moved the right-hand rod, the middle rod, the only other rod, sorry. I moved it even further away, so this one was just there, and I'd fish the middle of the spot because it was still. That would do maybe 1 in 3 or 4 fish would be on the other rod, but everything else was that left-hander.
All stockies though, still.
Yeah, stockies. Like so, I think I finished the season on. That was it. And I was seeing the fish, and I'd see the odd one show on me and stuff. It didn't show a lot over you, but then it happened. I had one of the originals, just banging old leather, like ancient leather.
Yeah, I remember
and
the
then
photo.
I had another one the next weekend. Another one of the other levers, like Kushti. Like then I had another one which I didn't know it was an original. I am a really bad angler. I had it in the net, and I've looked at it, and it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. The bite time had sort of changed. And I was like, oh, wasn't expecting this. And I took a photo of it just with my phone in the net. And I've gone and sat down, put the kettle on. I was like, oh, I'll just have a coffee now. Sun's just starting to come up. Like, it's that real in-between light, so I can just sort of see stuff. Making a coffee. And I thought, oh, do you know what? It was already unhooked. I thought, I'll go back, I'll have a quick look at it, lifted it up, and I just slipped it out of the net. Half asleep still, like stupid.
Yeah.
And I look back at the photos, and it's like, it's longer than I thought, it's wider than I thought, and it was like proper kinky, all missing scales and stuff. And I'm like, I weren't a stocky.
No,
like that was some old,
like
old wonky old common that I have no idea how big it is. So I'm just like, and
I mean,
I've asked people about it. Has anybody ever had like a proper wonky common with a kinky back? And I show them the photo. I've never seen anything like it.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's my luck. I never catch the ones.
So it's not one that you'd really go after, but it's one that you'd be like.
Guys that have been on there for
unknown.
ages, I've shown them that photo, and they're like, "No, never seen a wonky."
Glee had a wonky.
Yeah, we had that was my first one out of there. But yeah, and then from there, I was like, I had to have. I think it was about a month away from the lake. I had a couple of weddings and a stag do or something. So I was just, big stags. We love them. I think I was with you actually.
Yeah, probably.
And so I was away for like, I think it was like 4 or 5 weekends, and I got back there, and it was the middle of September. Yeah, it was middle of September, and I was like, right, I'm going to start now and make this sort of the beginning of my autumn campaign. I'm going to have this common. It had been out at like 52 in the spring and stuff. I was like, I'm going to have it. Like, I know it's going to happen. I've had originals off this spot now.
And this thing is,
she'd been out from the swim next door.
Yeah.
And that was her sort of zone, really, because she used to live in the snags.
Was it a female fish?
You
said
I
she.
don't actually. No, I presume so.
I can't remember.
I'd say so. Yeah.
And it's quite a lot bigger than
girl.
Anything else in there, isn't it?
Yeah, by a long way. There's like things that have occasionally touched 40 in there, and then she's comfortably a 50. Like
apart from when you catch it.
Yeah, obviously. So I'm like, I'm going to have it. Like this is happening. So I've gone. I didn't go back the weekend I was meant to go back. I went and did a social because it was still 32 degrees or something on like the first weekend in September. I was like, what's the point? Like, I think I went for some beers and did a day session somewhere, like surface fishing. The next weekend it was still hot, and it was like 14th, 15th, somewhere there of September. But I was like, it's a new moon. Feels good for it. It does feel good for it. It's cooled down a bit, but like, and I was like, I'm gonna start this campaign now. I'm gonna bait really consistently. I might even do 2 in a week, and then fish on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I said to the missus, like, I'm gonna fish every weekend basically from now until at least November, mid-November. She sort of just went, yeah, fine.
Sweet.
And I'm like, all right, Christy, like she gets me out of the house, like doesn't have to deal with me. And I got down there on that it was just after the new moon. It was like the night after. She's like, I love the new moon over the full moon, always for some
big
reason.
Moon tonight, isn't there?
Yeah, massive
Full
moon.
moon
I
tonight.
don't think I've ever caught a good fish on a full moon. Always new moons.
Yeah.
So, I'm all super. You know what it's like when you're just there. It's like it's going to happen. The atmosphere is just spot on. It's absolutely incredible. Baited, had one early morning. Phoned Dan. I said, mate, come on. I'll never get you out of bed. Come and do some photos for me. It's mega rolled, 28-pound common. Nice. I was like really happy. It was the biggest one I'd had out of the lake, and one of the originals, like wicked fish. So I was like, yeah, Kushti. Sat and had a coffee with Dan. Off he's gone. I never fished the days as well. I never fished the days. I knew when bite time was, and I'd get the rods out, just rinse and repeat. 4 p.m.
Yeah.
If I get them out by 4, I can have a bite by 9. Didn't happen. And then early hours, had another take, left hand rod again. So, and it's gone. That was it. Yeah, the originals always pick up and just went straight into the weed.
Yeah, so you know.
Any of the stockies, they went wild. Like, so you knew straight away what to pay attention to.
Yeah.
They just go left into the weed. That was it. So this fish is in the weed, and I'm like leaning on it. it's not coming out. They normally come out. So I'm sat down.
So you got into so just a butt in there. So you've got into a bit of a rhythm now. You're catching regularly from this spot.
Yeah, but I'd had that month away.
Yeah, so you've had that month away, but you still know when you're in
I'm
tune
going
with
back
the spot,
to
the fish,
that spot,
the bites.
and I'm thinking, I'm just going to rinse and repeat again.
Yeah,
it's going to be fine. I'm just going to go straight back to it. I've been down on like the Wednesday, put some bait in, and then I was back down Friday, stick 4 or 5 kilo particle boilie pellet on the spot, and I had one that night, Friday night. I'm like, yeah, game on, and it's the best one I'd had.
Yeah.
Then the Saturday night, get a take, but it was early hours. It was like, I don't know, probably 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So there's a bit of a bank in the swim. I've sat down on it. I've got a rod in between my legs. I'm just holding it. I was like, it'll move. Just
gonna say, so Ben, people don't know. His fish is now buried in the weed.
Like trying to basically get it free.
So
she's
I
get you.
locked
Sometimes
up.
you just have to literally hold the fish under tension, because as soon as you let a bit of tension off, they'll just bury themselves deeper. So you just hold the tension, and it can take literally like up to 15 minutes.
I mean, you can be there hours. But
sometimes,
you keep that tension.
Rest the rod against a tree under tension, and just wait for it to start going again.
Yeah.
They're just sitting in that weed until they feel safe to move. It's like a bit of a...
There's loads of trains of thought on it.
It's
People will be like, yeah, put the rod down, let it go slack and everything. That's just one of them classic carp fishing discussions. But so I'm leaning on it. That's my chosen method.
Yeah.
And then the right-hand rod's ripped off.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, this is the worst timing ever. So I've like wound down, kept it really tight. I put it down. Normally I would ignore it.
Yeah.
Like double takes, just ignore the second take.
Yeah, if in the right situation.
Because otherwise, you're going to fuck around. You're more likely to lose them both. At least land one.
100%.
And then, if that's still on, land that one. Yeah. Fine. But I was just like, it was absolutely screaming off. Neville's are so loud, and I get embarrassed by noise. I'm like, oh, shush.
Now everyone's watching me.
Oh, no, everybody knows I'm really good at fishing. So I've put the left hand rod down, picked the other rod up, and I can feel it's just going absolutely mental. It's 100% a stocky. So I was just like, fuck it. Like, get in. Get it close. It just dropped off. I was like, well, that was fucking wasted. Like, pick the other rod back up. And I'm like, please still be there. I have no idea. I'm leaning on it. But within like 2 minutes, it starts nodding away.
The best feeling in the world.
I'm like, oh, it's still there, yes. And I know it's a big fish, and I'm like, please be one of them 30-pound commons, because I was desperate for one of them. There's
like
2 or 3 of them in. Oh, mate, they're mega looking. These wicked commons. I'm like, please just be one of them. Don't be a stocky. Like, get in. Flick the head torch on, because I know there's a load of weed on the line somewhere, and it's just sort of from the leader down. Flick the head torch on, I see it's big common. I'm like, yes, it's one of them commons. As I go to because I've got to go under the weed to the fish. Yeah. Head torch dies.
Oh no.
So I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I'm like, I'm back here with the rod, just like, please, just go, scoop in, like lift everything up. I can see just about in the darkness, new moon. It's completely pitch black. Yeah. Weed everywhere. I pull it in. Hold it there, and I'm like pulling weed out, lift the net up, and I'm feeling for a carp. I'm like, yes, there's a fish in the net. So I put it down. So I run back to the brolly, grab my phone, get the torch on my phone. I'm like, yeah, it's common. Like, fucking well happy with myself. Clear it off, charge the head torch quickly, like recharge that so I can actually see properly. Go back down to water, flick the head torch on it, and I was like, that's so much bigger than I thought.
They slowly get bigger sometimes.
Mate, it was ridiculous. Well, I just put the phone torch on it quickly, and I was like, "That's quite big." Yeah. And then I'd been speaking to Joe Shanahan. He was up on, I don't know, he was barbel fishing somewhere, and I knew he was awake. And I was like, right, phoned him, and he's like, "You got her?" And I was like,
straight away, I knew.
Yeah, he was like, "You've got her," and I was like, I think I have. And he's like, what do you mean you think you have? It's a fucking massive common.
Like I said before,
you either have or you haven't. I was like, oh.
It's like 3,
and I was
4
like,
times.
Yeah, it's her. Like,
3-4 times bigger than anything in the lake.
Oh, she was massive, yeah.
We've all had it on lakes when you get fish in the net. And you know in the back of your mind
everybody does
it's the fish.
Yeah, you don't want to admit it though, in case you're wrong.
Because it's so surreal to catch your target and it's there in front of you, this fish you dreamed about catching. suddenly it's there in your net, but you tell yourself it's not it.
Yeah.
You're like,
That's
nah, it
interesting.
can't be it.
I can't have caught it. Yeah.
Like, especially with mirrors, you're looking at the scales, you're like, you know in the back of your mind it's it, and you question it. You call up mates and they're straight away like, because they know what target you're after.
Yeah.
You got it.
And it's like 2 a.m. They know
something's up.
They know something's up. So they're like, oh, you got it. And then you're like, I don't know. It could be it. Could be not. And they're like, mate, you fucking got it. Like, stop messing about.
Yeah, it was mega. It was mega having that phone call in the morning. And I had a few of the lads come down. A couple of the bailiffs come down and did photos because they didn't know who to call. Tried phoning Dan again. He was like, oh, I can't because I came out yesterday morning.
Yeah.
I was like, all right,
it's
mate.
that fun
Like,
thing, like, you know what I mean?
So I said to him, I was like, look, a coffee isn't going to cut it. I'm going to have a beer this morning. And then he did get down once I'd done the photos and she was back. I think she was 45 or something in the end. So I was a bit shocked. Like,
So spawned out.
But yeah.
So
I mean, she was spawned out, but she was on her way out. She's gone now. She's dead now. Like,
Wow.
R.I.P.
Like, a year or so later. But he came down and we sat there. It's like 10 a.m. now. Like, sun's come up. It was quite a nice day. I'm having a beer, just like well happy, like it's sort of done.
Yeah, sick.
And
embrace the moment.
And he's like, fish has showed out there. I was like, yeah, it's right on me. It's the second one I've seen show. He's like, get a rod back out. I was like, why? He's like, mate, get a rod back out. Oh, fine. So I flicked the rod back out, put it down. Half an hour later, off it's gone. I had another mega one of the originals.
Really? Originals.
Yeah,
So the originals started to turn
yeah,
up.
absolutely mega. And I knew that day, I was like, look, I've probably got another couple of weeks where I can. I'm one of those. I don't like if you have the fish, just pull off sort of thing. Usually for me, like if it's the target fish for the water, which it very much is. Yes, there's a lovely stock in there, but it's like I can't think of anything worse than taking a capture away from someone else, like with a recapture. I know it's not likely to happen quickly, but she was acting weird anyway. So I was just like, oh, I'm just going to drop it. But yeah, it was good. It was a nice little campaign on there that didn't feel like a campaign because it had been broken up. I just fished hard, like a lot of overnighters, catching stockies, waking up, like messaging Jake at like 5 o'clock in the morning, like, I'm sat in traffic on the M26. Like,
Gonna be late to work.
I think I was only late once, and I'd had 2 stockies at like the prime worst times of like midnight when I've just got to sleep. Then you're buzzing for 2 hours, and then get back to sleep for an hour, and you're woken up again for another one. It's like, and then you got to pack up, barrow to the motor and stuff, and it's like, and then hit traffic. I'm just like, I'm done with overnighters. Like when I was just slaying stockies.
You're lucky you got a CARP angler as a boss.
Yeah, mate, very understanding. He saved me a few times of just.
So
being like,
you're still down that neck of the woods fishing.
Yeah.
And just dabbling on. We won't go too far into that because you're still campaigning that at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
I'm not sure now, man. Yeah, where the common's gone, where I want to be's got busier and stuff. So I'm, next year is...
You're on the fence at the moment.
Yeah, next year's really up in the air. I might just take myself day ticket in for a year.
Yeah, there's some good day ticket carp out there.
Mate, I might just plot just so I haven't bought a ticket. My lot's I've got a fish here. I might just go and enjoy it again.
Weir, like
that is
old lake and the Mets.
I've had a few out of there, out of Thorney and stuff, and the fish are great. And why not? Like something a bit different.
So changing it up a little bit.
Yeah, mate.
Have you got any other hobbies that you're into that you do, but it's not fishing?
What
sort of hobbies you other than
nothing really? Used to do some sport.
Used to do sport. So you used to play a little bit of rugby.
Bit of rugby, yeah. Enjoyed just training and that, getting in the gym, but I haven't done either of those. Well, actually, that is a lie. I played 20 minutes on Saturday.
Yeah.
And it was disastrous. I walked off the pitch after 20 minutes, like, does someone need a sub? And the boys are like, what's the matter with you? You hurt? You tired? I was like, no, I can't do this anymore. I've aged out. That's
you used to dabble in a bit of skateboarding when obviously me and Ben know you from obviously I know you from school, but Ben knows you from Skatron days, because he used to ride BMX and you used to skateboard.
I do occasionally try and do that, but it always ends in tears. I'm too old.
But you do play golf as well.
Yeah, bit of golf when I can, but that also is about as good as my fishing.
Really?
Yeah, shocking.
That bad?
Shocking, mate. Oh, don't look at him for
laughs.
laughs.
We'll cut this there then,
Cheap
boys.
laugh.
That's the end of this. And thanks for coming in, George.
Yeah, mate, I've wiped the floor with you.
No.
We've played golf together, and you're worse than me. So
I don't know.
I do.
I've been told
I was there.
handy at golf, even though I play once a year.
No one's ever told you that.
My mum did once.
Here's a question for you. I was thinking,
Go.
like, you know, when you're starting to get a bit of a groove on, and you're sort of starting to get into the zone, and you think this could be on. Have you got any rituals? Is there anything?
Oh, mate, that is such a good question because I discovered a ritual this year.
This year,
Genuinely.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, yeah, you're right. I told someone about this the other day because I remembered it. Was that first original I had?
Yeah.
I walked into a swim and found 20p on the floor. And I went, pay the lake, like, be kind to me. I said, be kind to me, and flicked 20p into the lake. And I had mate, you just reminded me of that. That's great.
Yeah.
And
question,
and I paid the lake. And then the week after, so I had that first lever the next morning. The next week, I got to the lake, pulled up in my car, got out, and I saw a quid on the floor in my footwell. I never have change anywhere.
Yeah.
Quid on the floor in the footwell, and I was like,
Chucked it in.
It's got to happen.
Yeah.
So from a distance, I flicked it, and I was like, what did I say last week? Be kind to me, like that. And then had another original the next morning.
That's so
I
funny.
forgot. I stopped doing that as well. I might start paying the lake. That's like an old thing as
Yeah,
well.
I bet that
What's the word for some superstitious?
Yeah.
So you can like, a lot of carp anglers actually like.
That's why you never change your pants, isn't it?
Yeah, I literally have the same pants on every time.
All
I go
the
fishing.
time.
Skid marks a lot. Just go fishing in the same
I've
pants.
seen that type of stuff happen in BMX when people are trying to do video or skateboarding when they're trying to get video clips and they have to like touch the wall 5 times or they have to like their hat has to be a certain way or they have to push.
That's just called OCD.
Yeah, I wondered if it was the same
it's
in
like
fishing.
Yeah,
it's definitely
no,
a thing
mate,
to
I
get
get it,
yourself
yeah.
in the zone.
Yeah.
Or just make yourself feel confident, which
Yeah.
is a lot of angling and BMX.
Oh, mate,
The
everything's
minute you feel
self-confidence.
confident,
It's all self-confidence.
it's all self-confidence. Yeah.
Very cool.
That's me, mate.
Right, so I wanted to obviously we're going to be getting some voice notes in from people.
Listeners getting involved.
Listeners getting involved,
I
which
like
is quite
it.
exciting.
It is good. I like.
You never
that a
know
lot.
what's going to kind of come in. It's going to be hit like there could be some positive things, some funny things.
Give us
some
your best.
negative
Give us your
things,
worst.
and we'll just go with that. But yeah, Ben, if you could.
Before Ben dives in, can I grab a beer?
How is that beer actually?
It's actually, you know what? I wasn't sure, but it's actually pretty.
Because
bloody
you're a
good.
Guinness. You actually.
I'm a Guinness man, and I decided to help you out because I'm going to get you sponsored by BrewDog.
Well,
oh, sorry, Ben.
me and my friend, or friends, a couple of my mates, we're well into our brew dogs at the moment. Obviously, they do.
They've got a million different beers.
Million different beers, which is always keeps it interesting.
Yeah, so I've gone for their
And you've gone for their
Black Heart.
which is a bit like Guinness.
Well, it's
It's
it's black.
That's a good pour.
Thanks. I did it. Right, hit me with these voice notes.
Yeah, let's go with the voice notes.
Do you want me to play the first one?
Well, just go through all of.
See what
Just
we've
one at a
got.
time, yeah? And then
One
you
at
want
a
a
time.
reaction, see how we get on?
We'll just see how we go.
So this was the downside of carp fishing on Tuesday night for me. So yeah, booked in to do a quick overnighter on my local club lake. So yeah, go fishing and back to work in the morning. But anyway, the missus wanted to come, so I have to take 2 bed chairs with me on my barrow. So yeah, one bed chair goes on, next one goes on, and then all your kit on top. So anyway, found the swim that I wanted to fish. Pretty muddy this time of year. Anyway, walking across up to the swim, and there's a tiny little bridge, probably only about 15 foot long. When I loaded the barrow, I just knew it was leaning slightly to the left. Like the weight was just pulling slightly left, so not a level load. So I kept going, went to walk over the bridge, and there was a young lad just standing next to me, just having a chat as I'm pushing my barrow along. Next thing, the barrow started pulling left on the bridge, and I had my food bag rested on the top of my barrows, and I'm resting my kit. And it's the first time I've ever done this, and I put my phone and my keys and my wallet in my food bag, hadn't zipped it up. So yeah, the barrow's tipped to the left. I've cocked my leg up to sort of compensate for the barrow. I've got it wedged in between the barrow and the scaffold. There's like a scaffold pole that runs along. So there's a scaffold bolt. So I've taken a massive gouge out my leg. The food bag's gone straight into the water in the stream. And the first thing I thought is, oh my God, my phone. So anyway, while it's floating on the surface, which is fine, cards, no problem. But my phone, in the water, in the drink. So the young lad standing next to me, he had waders on. So I was like, get in quick, mate, get in. So he
Go on,
in,
you
put
get
his
it.
hand in there. Oh, I can't find it, mate, I can't find it. So I'm thinking, mate, this kiddie, like, he's just faffing around. So let's go back to the bag, get my waders on.
Getting out of the way.
So yeah, got in the water, put my hand in there straight away, found my phone, got it out. I thought it's cooked. Like 10 minutes it's been in there at least. So anyway, pushed the lock button on the side. It's come on. I thought, oh my God, sweet, happy days.
What phone was it?
But then the thing that was the worst, all my food, everything for the night, had all just literally sunk to the bottom of the stream. And
Savage.
great. And then the missus wasn't even there. She came down probably an hour later. Told her about it. I said, it's all your fault.
It is.
You know, only mucking about. These things happen, but that is one of the downsides to fishing.
These things happen, man.
And yeah,
I will say
Happy days.
that does serve you right for taking your missus fishing.
Yeah.
On an overnighter as well. That's
I mean, it's
far too much
We've
hassle.
all been there when you like take your son or take your wife or take your friend fishing who's never been fishing.
That's ag.
And sometimes it just goes down.
Take me.
No, we'll take Benson. We've got to take Ben. But sometimes it just goes downhill.
Beginner's luck, I'll be in there getting the old boy.
Mate. Yeah, grow the scene. No, you're not
Throwing pounds in.
Yeah, mate, that's it. But sometimes it just goes wrong and you can't help it. And
He swings, mate.
every carp angler or every angler I know, you're like looking for this
Losing a
thought to
barrow.
this session, and then all of a sudden it goes Pete Tong straight away, and sometimes it goes from bad to worse. Like I think that's from a mood.
Nightmare
thing.
sessions just happen. Like,
Because fishing can be quite technical and quite demanding. So when something something goes wrong at the start, it just goes bad.
Do you think that's like an expectation thing as well? Because you're like, it's this weekend, the weather's going to be good,
Yeah.
and you're thinking it's going to be great, and you turn up, and all of a
and
sudden,
then when something doesn't go wrong, it's
something's happened, the car breaks down.
super
or something,
compounded because
Yeah.
you're just disappointed.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, it's
serves them
unfortunate.
right.
Moving on.
Here's another one.
Yeah. What's the moral of the story with that one? Maybe don't put your food and keys on top of the
Don't take your missus fishing. That's the moral of the story.
Yeah, nothing to do with the keys
Just
or phone.
don't do it.
Here we go. Let's go to.
Hello, Matt. Here's a story for you, mate. So, it was about 6 years ago, and at the time I was fishing a syndicate on the Surrey-Sussex borders. It's in the middle of nowhere. There's no toilets or any amenities or anything like that. And if you've got to have a turnout, generally, rule of thumb was to head off to the woods, dig yourself a hole, and do it there.
Military style.
So on this particular session, I was running around like a nutter trying to get everything together to get down the lake. And prior to leaving, I just remembered before going out the front door to grab my wet wipes. So jumped in the car, headed to the lake, got down there, got set up, rods out, settled in for the evening, had a bit of dinner. I thought I'd treat myself to a couple of Belgian beers. Belgian beers are bottle conditioned, which means they've got yeast in them, so they're quite active. And this can give you a bit of an upset tummy. Anyway, night passed, no fish. Woke up early the next day, watching the water, having my morning coffee. Everything's good. And then out of nowhere, my stomach went into spasm. And it became apparent I was very close to shitting myself. So I grabbed my hand trowel, grabbed my wet wipes, and basically did like a river dance off to the woods, trying not to shit myself, and dug myself a hole, did my business, covered it over, and then started to walk back. And while I was walking back, I started to feel like quite a warm sensation between my arse cheeks, and very quickly it started to grow in intensity. It was like burning. It began burning, it getting hotter and hotter and hotter to the point where it felt like someone had a lighter against it, which led me to have to break into a sprint to get back to my swim. And once I got back there, I dropped my trowel, grabbed my water bottle, bent over, and then started pouring the water between my arse cheeks to try and rectify whatever the hell it was that had caused me to be in so much pain. After some time, and I think probably 2 litres of water, it became apparent that that wasn't working, and I just basically collapsed on my bed chair in a fit of agony, lying there thinking, what the hell have I done? And it was then that I looked out across my swim and saw the packet of wet wipes that I dropped, and it transpired that they weren't wet wipes. My wife had actually moved the wet wipes, and I just wiped my ass with bleach wipes. Which was horrendous. I ended up with quite severe burns
to the ring.
Yeah. And a very uncomfortable remainder of my time on the bank.
So pay for that though, a bit of ring lining.
I guess it goes to show that the importance of being prepared and not rushing around like a dickhead.
Mate,
absolutely not.
A little bit. What I will say is that those first 2 voice notes were a little bit on the long side. We want to keep them under 2 minutes, but they were funny stories. So
wow, mate, that's traumatizing.
Yeah.
Bleach wipes, man, that's horrendous.
Yeah.
No.
Could happen to anyone though, you know.
I don't know if it could. I'm going to
Belgian
go
beers,
absolutely against
you must have
the listener there and just, no, it's your own fault.
What about the stories of deep heat and stuff? With like playing rugby and stuff.
Yeah,
I've heard some horrific stories.
Me and Jake have both done that.
You wipe yourself with deep heat because you're aching on your back or something, and then you go for a piss or something.
Get up in the night. Deep heat on the old chap is
on the old chap.
It's so weird. It's icy burn. It's horrid. It's just not right. Is there more?
There's another one. You want another one?
All right, mate. Yeah, something that bugs me when I'm fishing.
I know that voice.
The lurkers. You know, the people. You turn up at a lake and you get all set up and that, and they come over and they fucking talk to you. You had anything, mate? Not gonna catch there, mate. All that stuff. Just fucking do one, will ya? Killing me, man.
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, they're nice people, so you don't want to be horrible to them and that. But shit me. Go away. I don't come fishing for that. Come fishing for peace and quiet, not for a social with someone that I don't even know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you mean he's the most unsociable man in the world.
He is unsociable.
He is the most unsociable man in the world.
But he's got a point. Like sometimes you go fishing just to be left alone. You might have had like a tough week.
Yeah, but I don't hold it against the person that comes and says hello.
You can't.
Ever.
You can't, because like you said, they're probably nice people.
Yeah, and they'll be gone in 5 minutes, mate. Chill out. It's him. That is a you problem. I'm going to name him Reese. It's a you problem. That is what a nightmare. Yeah, I get it, but absolutely.
Some people do like to be left alone.
It's like a stop and chat, isn't it? You know,
and
it's like.
It's the ones that it's the ones you get that like they'll do that initially when you meet on the bank and they're fishing next to you or a couple of swims down, but it's when they come back every 2 hours.
Yeah, okay.
Check in, and it's like that's when it gets a bit like
mate, a bit
just
much.
Give me my space. Like you're a nice guy, but fuck me.
Start setting up tripwires and stuff behind your brolly.
Some signage.
Dog turds.
Here we go.
Anybody else finish setting up? And you have that sudden realisation that you've forgotten something. So you go rummaging through your tackle bag and then you find out you've forgot your head torch, you've got your power pack, or you've forgot a lighter to light your stove. It's the biggest ball ache ever.
Yeah, he's got a point there. The amount of times. But you know what the biggest one for me is water.
Yeah.
For your kettle.
I keep emergency water in my car all the time, and literally a few weeks ago, last time I fished, I had to go to the emergency water.
Really?
And I realised that my emergency water was French.
Yeah. Jesus.
So that was from May.
So
I bought a 2 litre bottle of water that I bought in France.
Everyone who goes fishing has those refillable
Yeah.
like carpy.
I was just in
looking
there,
bowls.
Yeah.
And sometimes at a rush, like if I'm doing like a quick overnight and it's like
I always
last
forget
minute,
to fill it
I
up.
just chuck it in there, and I think I filled it up at the
Yeah.
lake, or
I'll fill it up
before I
at
go.
work. I always do it at a job.
Or in the morning,
Yeah.
I load my van sometimes. Shouldn't really load my van sometimes in the morning, in the night.
Yeah.
go in the early hours in the morning. I think
Yeah,
I fill
okay.
it up in the morning.
Yeah.
Never
and
do.
then you never do.
Yeah,
You get to late,
water's
you're like,
one.
yeah, sweet, I'll have a cup of tea.
Yeah, water's one I always forget.
You got your
and
rods out and everything.
And you can't leave it.
I will say I'm a nightmare for a battery pack. That is why the amount of times that man sending that voice note has brought me a battery pack.
Yeah, he is good.
Like 3 or 4 times now. Like, mate, are you passing the lake? Have you got a battery pack? Can you drop it off so I don't have to try and get my car near my swim and sit there with the engine on charging my phone? I've had some mares.
Yeah.
I'm quite forgetful.
Yeah, fair play.
Last one.
Last one.
Go.
What's happening, lads? Just a little one here, just a little moan actually. The other day I was going down the park lake and I was a bit excited, put a bit of bait out. But, yeah, turned up and it was all going well. Lake was empty, rubbing your hands together, get the rod set. Only fishing one little rod in the margin. And then all of a sudden, 2 anglers turn up, they got the whole lake to choose from, and they decided to set up next to me, so what a pair of bellends. Killed my buzz, killed my mood, reeled in, and went home. I got a little message. I think Ada wants to say something. Go on, Ada, you say something.
Hi, Uncle Matt, you're a top noddy.
Love it.
He's not wrong. But yeah, Pete, he's right. That was your brother.
Yeah,
But he's very easily upsettable.
yeah, but I do get
But
it.
I completely get it. Also,
There is that etiquette,
just
isn't there?
even if that's where you want to fish, just don't.
when you got the
on
whole
a
lake,
lake like on something like that, when it's just one person on,
and someone just rocks
just
up
go
and
and find
fishes
them
right
somewhere.
next to you.
There'll be a fish somewhere else.
What if they've been scoping it out and think that there's going to be fish in that certain area? Is that like
Then
a POFAR? You don't really.
It's free for all, isn't it? But
Yeah.
it's etiquette.
Yeah.
It comes down to etiquette, which we
At least have a word.
Sadly losing.
If
really?
if you
In
want,
carp fishing, yeah, a
I
little
will
bit.
forever, no matter what. And people find I get looks sometimes. Oh mate, I'm going to jump in next door. Like, right, like wait, like just check where someone's fishing. Like, how far left is your left hand rod? Like, I will fish out of my water. If you were there before me and you're fishing out of your water, I can go for it. Like, if I'm going
Yeah.
to jump in next door to someone, I'll always go and say hello. And
You've
do
always
it.
got to go and talk to the person first.
Yeah,
If you
I
are
always
looking
feel
to fish that
uncomfortable
area.
doing it as well. Like,
I just always naturally. I think even if how much I want to fish that area because I might be
Yeah.
in it or whatever. Naturally, I'm just like either go home or I'll be like I'll just go give the other area go
I'll
at
go
the
and
other
have a
end of the
look, yeah.
lake and just give that guy their space
It's
and their
just,
freedom because
you were here.
I wouldn't like it.
And exactly, if I was
Happens
here
to
and
me.
I knew I had this much water and I've
Yeah.
got some,
So,
for all you know,
he's got a point.
they haven't got anything going on. But it's like, you just give people their space. But
I
it's
think-
hard to do some places, but on an empty lake, it's a
Yeah.
bit like, whatever.
But I think the old voice note thing's quite funny.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
good, mate.
Interesting
So
to see them coming in.
from
Like
now
some
on-
of them are funny. Some of them are sad. You know, it's interesting to see what people are going to
What do
come
you
up
want?
with.
Disaster stories,
Disaster,
funny stuff.
funny.
Yeah,
But also, like
that's
these
good,
are all
that's
these are all
good.
like fishing related ones. But
Yeah.
like Tony's one about work was good. Like
Yeah.
in getting into the trades and that would be good. And
Yeah,
yeah,
so
it's just going to be funny.
keep 'em coming.
Keep them coming.
Yeah, I
boys.
like it. I like that.
Don't be shy. Keep them coming.
Send them in. I
Send
think
them
it's a
in.
good idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, so some fun guest questions that I'm going to ask a few people.
Yeah, go
Time
on.
to time, just funny ones. Do you believe in ghosts?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, sort of. I've never
the
seen
fence.
ones. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
I think I've seen some weird things, and on the bank is a weird one.
Because
Like,
Ben
that's-
brought it up last time.
I got no,
You
I got
brought it
no
up before,
time for it on the bank. I've spooked myself a few times, but I've never really seen anything. But I don't disbelieve people when they say they've seen ghosts.
Yeah.
I'm like, you might well have done.
We're talking ghosts of fish, or we're talking people?
Humans.
Like, just, I don't know.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Little
There's a lot of people out
scary
there that do
Victorian
believe in
girls.
ghosts, don't they?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
obviously, I think Ben asked me the question
But I
before.
don't. Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't think I've ever really had a proper experience. But
No.
I've felt weird, and I've had weird things happen on the bank.
You
but
can, like you say, you can freak yourself
you can
out.
feel stuff, and you
Yeah.
can like. I've had that. I know a few other people have spoken about it. I've had that that sudden silence, like you've suddenly been put in a bubble. Like there was wind noise and stuff, and there was, I could hear the lake, I could hear a bird, and then all of a sudden it's just silence. I don't know if it's my ears, something's gone wrong, but I've just suddenly been put in a bubble, and I'm like, it's like there's a presence around you. So I've had that.
You get feelings sometimes, don't you? It's like when you go into really weird old houses and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think that you get used to like the environment? So like once you're fishing a certain lake, you get used to the noises, the sounds, this type of stuff, and it's and then something's a bit abnormal, puts your hairs in the back of your neck up, I guess.
Yeah. Another one, which is fairly similar. Do you think there's life out there other than
there is.
This planet and what we know?
I'm not. I mean, I could get into this, but there's just no need to. I think it'd be absolutely
naive
on the knowledge I have, but like presuming it's true. Like, do you know what I mean? This could be a simulation. You could all be joking with me. Like I could be on the Truman Show. But yeah,
God, you're not one of those people that thinks the world is like flat.
Hey,
I'm all about that. I reckon the world's flat.
I might
all about that. I'm certain 9/11 was an inside job. We ain't been to the moon. The world's flat.
No, I'll give you that. I'll give you. We might not have been to the moon. Do you know what? Look,
we have not been to the moon.
This is a different podcast. We'll do a new podcast.
We're in it now.
No, that's what I mean. It's dangerous.
Ben knows the filming side of things, and he's saying,
I'm telling you,
they haven't been to the moon.
we'll do a podcast of that. We'll do a conspiracy podcast.
We should.
Yeah, I'm all in. But I think there's life out there. 100%.
There's life out there.
And I think they've been here.
I'm not sure about the lion's flat and all this shit, but I do think there's definitely life out there because we're only one galaxy and we can only see so much.
Mate, it'd be
naive to think we're the only ones here.
Insane to think there's
Okay, interesting.
Go on then.
We'll go on that further some other day.
Anyway, back to 9/11.
Let's not bring that up, please.
That's going to be a recurring theme on all of this.
Do you have any embarrassing moments that come to mind? Worst.
I don't get embarrassed, so it's hard to say. I've done a lot of really ropey stuff over the years, but it doesn't embarrass me. So, have you got something that I should be embarrassed by, or you've witnessed half of mine?
One thing I think I don't know if it's embarrassing, but one story that comes to mind when we was talking about us fishing together earlier. One time that comes to mind is when, I don't know what happened. We were fishing together, and I came and spoke to you in the morning, and you were like half asleep, half awake, and you had this open pack of boilies next to you, and and you were like, I was like, "How you doing, mate? You right?" And you were like picking something out your teeth, and I was like,
"I'd had a bad
how's
night.
it going?" And you were like, "Yeah, I've had some weird dreams. Like I was like hallucinating last night. I had some deep dreams.
I was ill.
You weren't well. You were severely ill.
I'd done some like."
But you had these weird dreams, and I remember you saying that I was dreaming about eating Maltesers, and then
I had 100%.
You were
been
picking.
Eating boilies.
I think you was fishing DNA baits then.
Yeah,
and you were picking. He was picking DNA baits out of his teeth.
Wow.
So somehow in his sleep, he's like not sleepwalked, but sleep ate.
I cannot. I sleep
and he's
eat
ate
a lot.
the pack of boilies. There's a kilo bag of boilies, and he's sitting there.
I cannot
eat it.
I cannot tell you. Do not ever use those insect coil things. Like, you know, the things they look like an incense burner thing. Like they're a coil for seeing off insects. I put one in front of my brolly that night, burnt it, mate. I was ill for like 48 hours. I've been breathing it in. Someone told me the next day, one of the lads he was like, mate, they're toxic, like they're really bad for you and all this. I'm like, mate, I had a weird night last night. I thought I was going to be sick multiple times. I'd woken up, fallen asleep. I'd moved it.
But you were generally like, I've eaten
and
something.
I think I'd been trying to eat. Like, because I normally, when I wake up in the night, I've normally got sweets or chocolate by me.
Yeah.
When I'm fishing, I always have a bag of chocolate, and I'll often have Maltesers, Munchies, or Haribo. And I think I just found some bait, and I remember sitting there in the morning.
Like boilies are the same size as Maltesers.
He come round, and in the morning, I'm like, oh, what is going on? I think I've just been chewing boilies.
But you weren't all there that night.
I wasn't. I was really ill. I didn't even come and have a barbecue.
Which is, I think, I suppose that is quite embarrassing.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Bit strange, bit unlucky.
I mean, you know, the classics, caught going for a poo and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not really embarrassing. You just wave and carry on. That's what it is.
So I think we've covered quite a lot
Yeah.
for today. I think we're definitely going to get you back on.
Fine. I'd like
which
that
would be good.
a lot. Yeah,
Like,
it'd be
maybe
nice,
like
mate.
Co-host with some other friends that we got.
Yeah, I think
in
like
mind
you
to come
saying,
on, or this Glee one, the Glee
mate,
special
that'd
has
be
got to be
brilliant.
done.
Yeah,
with us.
there's a hell of a
Jane
lot of
Pete.
stories. We could fill a couple of hours with
100%.
just 4 or 5 of us with the stories from that lake, and I think it's really relatable because I think a lot of people have had these experiences on close knit groups of friends on great syndicates.
Yeah, like
just
low
being
stock,
idiots.
low member syndicates.
Yeah, so yeah, that'll be a really good one. I'm looking forward to that.
That'll be
We'll
sick.
really dive into.
But
some
thanks for coming on.
stories. Thanks, mate.
It's been
Thanks
great
for having
to,
me.
Great to catch
Thank
up.
you for having
Great
me
to
as
talk to you,
well,
mate.
Ben.
And from us at United Anglers, we want to thank you and give you your first
darling.
mug, bit of merch.
Love it. Look at that. I feel like I've won a prize. For being a really good boy and sitting still for a little
it's
while.
the least we could do, mate, for coming on and having
Thanks,
a chat.
mate. It was really good, and looking forward to doing a load more and seeing a load
hopefully,
more.
mate. Yeah, hopefully people like it and get
100%,
involved.
mate. Be good fun.
Sweet. Cheers, mate.
Lovely.